pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we're so grateful to be here today and gather, Lord. We thank you for this wonderful community again in this organization, Lord. We just ask you to give us wisdom and leading it and guiding it, and for all that work here to be safe, Lord. We pray for the family of the little 2-year-old that got hit on the beach. Just a tragic thing, Lord. We just lift up that family to you and ask you to cover them and bless them and bless all that we do and say here today. In your mighty name we pray. Amen.
I think we ought to call you Preacher Kelly.
Oh, sorry. Just talking to God, right?
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Simmons, roll call.
Okay. Commissioner Conrad,
Here.
Commissioner Devine,
Here.
Vice Chairman Kelly,
Here.
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Chairman Davenport. And did you want to catch safety message next?
Yes, oh,
Okay.
sorry, yep.
That's okay.
Yep. Yes, come on up. Let's just, we have Johnny Dale coming up. Is that, did I say that last name right?
Yes.
Yep, thank you, Johnny.
Good morning, I'm Johnny Dale. I'm your wastewater plant manager for NSBU. And my safety topic is protecting NSBU wastewater employees. Employees who handle human waste and chemicals may be at an increased risk of becoming ill from waterborne diseases. To reduce and protect against illness, employees can protect themselves through basic hygiene, PP&E, personal protective equipment, training, and vaccinations. Practice basic hygiene is one of the best ways to stay healthy, like washing your hands immediately after handling chemicals or waste. If soap and water are not readily available, use a hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol. While handling human waste and chemicals, avoid touching your face, mouth, eyes, nose. Do not smoke, chew tobacco or gum. Keep your open sores, cuts, and wounds covered with clean, dry bandages, and use waterproof gloves to prevent any additional cuts. Wear rubber boots at the work site and during transportation. After handling human waste and chemicals, remove your rubber boots and your work clothes before leaving the work site. Clean contaminated work clothes daily using 0.05% chlorine solution to 1 part household bleach to 100 parts of water. Before eating or drinking, remove soiled work clothes. Employees we have are trained in personal protective equipment, and they use safety glasses, goggles, face shields, eye protection to keep splashes away. Also, waterproof gloves and boots. They use Tyvek suits, coveralls, chest waders to keep human waste and chemicals off their clothing. Safety practices reduce risk of employees to handling human waste, and they're trained on disease prevention, and airborne pathogens. We recommend they get vaccinations for tetanus, polio, typhoid, hepatitis A and B. And that concludes our safety message for today.
Thank
I
you.
have one question, if I may.
Question, Mr. Smith?
Yes, is there any history of any employee contracting any kind of disease who worked with the waste?
There is at one of my other plants I used to be at, but not here with us. We don't have anybody that I know of.
It's a good record.
Yeah.
It's an excellent record.
How long have you been with?
8 months.
Okay. That's very good. We appreciate it. And thank you very much for the presentation.
Yeah,
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you. Any additions or deletions from the agenda?
No, Vice Chairman.
And any public participation this morning? No? Okay, very good. We'll move on to our approval of consent items. Anybody want anything pulled? Mr. Smith? No? Ms. Conrad? No, that's going to go fast, so we need a motion to approve consent
So moved.
items.
Second.
Ms. Simmons?
Commissioner Conrad,
Yes.
Commissioner Devine,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Kelly,
Yes?
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Okay, nothing there. We'll go to General Manager's report.
Thanks, Vice Chairman. I will have Cody Gervin present in the financial statement discussion. There will also be an update on the fiscal year 27 budget prep, and we also have Winter McNair here who will also assist.
Good morning,
Good
Commissioners.
morning, Cody.
Next slide, please. Listing items I will cover include the balance sheet, the income statement, capital expenses, which we separate between restricted and unrestricted expenses, purchase power reserve, and where we stand compared to the rate study. And then, like Efren just mentioned, we'll give a budget presentation to conclude this presentation. Next slide. Balance sheet. Our cash available for operations is $18.8 million. Out of this, we have $2.7 million in our operating account and $8.1 million that is set aside for a purchase power reserve, which you'll see the offset liability. Restricted cash consists of capital connection fees of $8.4 million. Currently, we have 0 of those dollars set aside for water projects as we use those funds for the pellet softening project. So we do have projects budgeted for FY27. We'll use a good portion of those funds for wastewater projects for lift stations. Customer deposits are at $3.9 million, which you'll see the offset liability with that. And then we have the debt placeholder account that has $1.3 million. We made an interest payment on 4/1. We'll make our next debt payment on 10/1 related to FY26, which will include the interest and principal portion of that debt. Next slide, please. We are now operating at an operating loss of $7,000. We are now 3 months in with these new rates, so I anticipate that to turn over again to an operating income as we head into our warmer months. A change in that position is $1.8 million higher than this time last year, which is mainly due to higher operating revenues in all service areas. Electric is $3.2 million higher, or 13%. A good portion of that year to date is related to the purchase power reserve adjustment, which is comes out to be $1.3 million of that increase. And the remaining portion is really due to increased rates. While consumption is flat year to year, we did see a 4% increase in consumption in electric for April compared to last month. Water is $600,000 higher in revenue, which is about 8%, and reclaimed is $500,000, which is about 7% compared to this time last year. And we'll go through that for the consumptions on the next slide. One item to note here is purchase power. It makes up 43% of our budget, and currently it's our largest variance at a 11% increase compared to last year. And really that is related to the higher costs related to the winter storm in February. There's a short period of time where natural gas kind of spiked up. However, currently we are seeing lower natural gas prices, so we do anticipate this to come down, but we are right where we anticipated to be according to the rate study. Our cost per megawatt hour, budgeted cost is $60.79. We are at $61.15, so we're basically right on the money with that. Natural gas price for April was $2.77. This time last year is $3.42. So we're still seeing favorable natural gas prices compared to last year. Next slide. Days cash on hand is 3.7 months, or 112 days. This includes our purchase power reserve. We did make the $45 million drawdown on the $60 million line of credit on May 1st. And we'll make our first interest payment at the end of the month, where we anticipate that interest to be 3.3% of what we pulled out. Our plan is to issue the bond this calendar year, and then we'll pay off that line of credit, and then we'll continue with amortization related to the bond. And then we'll touch on where we stand compared to the rate study versus what we're paying interest today, later in this presentation.
Cody, can you go back to the natural gas price? I think you said we're on par with the same rate as last year.
So we're on par with the budgeted rate. So the
Okay.
FY '26.
And what is it year on year as it relates to the pricing of the natural gas?
Like
What we actually paid a year ago versus today?
that's what you're gonna see in this income statement here. It's,
Cody, I think he referenced, so you had said April of this year is $2.77. April of last year was $3.42.
Oh, you're talking about natural gas prices?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, so,
I guess I'm asking that question as it relates to, it's gotten more favorable for us. Why I know that there's natural gas that goes through the strait. Why is that not reacting the same way as, say, petrol?
well, we do go up in purchase power costs year to year based on the growth of our customers. And then also, there is some rate increases related to the energy structure with FPL. So if you're looking at like actuals from last year to this year, you will see increases because of that. And then also, there was a short period of time during the first part of the year where we were paying a lot for natural gas that you are seeing in this year-to-date
Right,
amounts.
I heard you describe that. But did I hear you say that the actual rate last year, outside of the big freeze we had, the actual rate that we're paying this year is slightly favorable to last year?
Correct.
Yes,
So
and
what drives that with, all the other kinds of
what we,
materials going through the strait? I know natural gas does go through there, some.
no, it does, and you bring up a very good point. So what we noticed from the very start of the Iran conflict, natural gas prices actually went down. Now, the reason why, and just a little brief history on the oil, even though we are, the United States is a net exporter, the price of oil is a globally traded market, so that's why that price is higher. But since, for whatever reason, what we notice with natural gas, we do with the Marcellus Shale, all of these pockets that we have, we produce our own natural gas to the point that we're able to export it. That price has stayed below because our sweet spot is between $3 and $4, it's gotten below that. And it's really, I believe in this instance, because the United States is the largest or a large producer of natural gas.
Sure,
So.
I get that, but I mean, we have petrol that can supply the entire US too, but that's reacted a very different way.
Yeah, it doesn't, and I believe it goes back to oil being globally priced, and then the natural gas really, we're able to produce and consume here, so. But it's a very good observation, but it's a good, for us, it's a very good trend.
It is a good point
Thank
though,
you.
Jeff,
That is-
that they're both globally traded, but that hasn't
Yeah.
affected in natural gas. A lot of it comes out of the southwest out there in Louisiana and places like that, but so does oil.
So does oil.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
it would,
We'll take what we can get.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, next slide. Okay, this is good, Debbie. No significant changes in consumption, accounts, and revenue. We're still seeing that 1 to 2%
Mr. Chair.
increase.
excuse me, Cody.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, one question. The price of diesel and gas, how is that affecting the budget?
We do have some surcharges, I believe it was some disposal in the water department where they did have a significant increase they had a cost associated to loads of moving materials out of the water plant. And it was, I forget, Winter might know the percentage increase, but it was up 70%, the surcharge. So we did account for that once we do the bottoms-up approach related to the FY27 budget. But they have to give us those numbers, and we're starting to see those on invoices, like a fuel surcharge on some of the invoices that we'll be accounting for in this FY27 budget.
Okay, thank you.
All right, no significant changes in consumption, accounts, and revenue. We are still seeing an increase in accounts, overall increase of 1 to 2%. Consumption is comparable to prior year. 2% increase in water, 3% change in reclaim, while electric and wastewater consumption is relatively flat compared to prior year. Next slide. So this is fiscal year-to-date capital expenditures are 16.1 million. 11.7 million is related to major projects, which includes 4.7 million in restricted expenses for the pellet softening project, which we have no remaining funds for in that capital connection fee account. And then we have 7 million in unrestricted projects, which includes the WRF screw press, which is basically a dewatering machine that separates sludge and reduces disposal costs. You will see the cost savings being reflected in the FY27 budget related to that capital project. We also have AMI meters that is substantially complete for electric. And then we have our silver sand septic to sewer project that's ongoing. Then you have 4.4 million that's related to more annual projects to keep the operations going, which are transformers, installation of conduit cable, and condition-based pole replacements. Next slide. Okay, here's our over-under recovery chart. The blue line in this graph represents our purchase power recovery balance. We are currently giving our customers a $4.69 credit with the goal to get to that 5 million target over the next 2 years. So FY26, we're giving that credit. FY27, we'll give a $3.78 credit. But what we're seeing now is that reserve is growing because of these natural gas favorability in the natural gas prices. So if you look at this from last month, the purchase power reserve actually grew $140,000, which is really not what we planned, but we're still at we're still basically spot on to where we projected ourselves compared to the rate study, which we'll see on the next slide.
What is long-term forecast for natural gas? I mean, what did they think this is gonna be a 2 or 3 year run, or is that, there's no predictability for that, or?
I don't know if you want to add on to
I
it.
believe that in the assumptions that we had for the fiscal year 27 budget, I want to say the projections were in the $4 range. So back to, and that's looking at the purchase power forward curve at the time that we did the budget.
Yeah.
But we can get back to exactly what that range is, but it is definitely higher than it is today.
Yeah, because your target reserve of 5 million, you wonder if you want to go there, or if you want to put a break on it for the time being, consider the volatility that's, like to Jeff's point, I don't know why oil is that much higher than natural gas, but.
And I believe just as we had that discussion at the workshop, what we'll do is take a look at, as we transition to that more wholesale retail, at the end of this contract, that is an option that we would do. But we do look at this, the purchase power balance as well as what the customer credit is. We do look at it annually.
Okay.
Right now, we're sticking with the plan of hitting the 5 million, and then we can have another discussion on if we want to adjust that purchase power reserve to plan for the future,
Right.
the transition to the more retail purchase power rate.
Yeah, because that conversation was stuck in my head about it. That's a substantial
Yes.
increase. I mean, that's gonna,
The good thing is we will have time, so.
yeah.
And we will have that discussion, sooner than later, but we definitely can plan that.
Thank you.
Next slide.
Cool.
So basically, this shows kind of our actual purchase power reserve compared to the rate study. And as you can see, we're basically right on top of it. So it's little twists and turns, but we're right there. And then if we stay on this course, we probably will build up that reserve a little bit, which maybe not be a bad thing if, our contracts are gonna go way up down the road. But at the end of the fiscal year, we will reevaluate everything, and we plan to get this down to $5 million. That is still the plan, and we do plan to give our customers a credit. It's just we don't know how much of a credit that will be until the end of the fiscal year.
All right.
Next slide.
Okay, so what we wanted to do was, in conjunction with the accompanying approval of the budget, the submission to the city at the end of June, Cody and Winter are providing a high-level update of the budget, but wanted to reiterate that we did the top-down as well as a bottom-up build, and we are in line with the rate study assumptions that we just completed. The full financial statement package will be provided prior to the next commission meeting, but right now, wanted to give you an update on where we're at with the overall budget. So I'll turn it over to Cody. Thanks.
All right, I'm pleased to present you with the budget for FY '27 for New Smyrna Beach Utilities. This budget includes the Commission's operating budget for FY '27 and the 10-year capital budget for FY '27 through FY '36. List of items that we'll cover include budget highlights. And like Ephraim said, we will give you a complete budget package with a detail of all the projects listed in there. What I'll do is kind of hit on the large ones, and then I'll kind of give you the totals of where we stand at today. But you will have all the nitty-gritty information before the next commission meeting. Capital improvement plan, we'll talk about revenues, operations and maintenance cost summary, which will break down the expenses in the major cost categories, which are purchase power, which makes up 43% of this, our operation and maintenance, and then salary and benefits, which makes up 34%. And then we have all the other O&M costs for operations and administration. That makes up 23% of the operation expense in this budget. Then we'll hit on debt service, and then we'll talk about our next steps. Before getting to the individual budget sections, I want to briefly touch on the overall approach used to develop this budget. The process combined both operational planning and long-term financial forecasting. The departments identified operation needs from the ground up, while financial modeling helped ensure that those needs could reasonably be supported through rates over time. The FY '24-25 rate study and long-term financial forecast served as a financial framework for this budget. Throughout the process, we treated this rate study as our ceiling to make sure planned spending remained within what could responsibly be supported. The FY '27 10-year CIP was built from the FY '26 amended 10-year CIP budget. Due to the current market conditions and delayed FY '26 bond issuance, certain project costs were shifted into the future years. Even with those timing adjustments, the first 5 years of the rate study remained aligned with the first 5 years of the FY '27 10-year CIP budget. So basically, we just shifted some cost out, but we're still agreeing directly with the 24-25 rate study.
But why would that be? Wouldn't it, if you push things out, wouldn't we see favorability? Are you trying to?
Well, in total, we're still gonna spend the whole cost. Like in total, we're gonna still spend what we plan to spend.
You pushed out capital in exchange for what?
We're gonna
Higher
spend,
operating costs?
we're gonna spend less capital in '26 because we didn't have the funds. We pushed the bond issuance out a little bit in '26. So basically, we're delaying some of that spending until '27.
But we just took out the $45 million.
We did,
line
on
of
May
credit.
1st. Yeah. So we'll,
That was the purpose of that line of credit, was to continue with the capital.
yeah, but when we did this rate study, we thought we were going to get this a lot earlier than May 1st. So we did have to push some projects out a little bit due to the delayed bond issuance.
How long has that been on the radar, that the projects were being pushed?
It's just
a matter of the timing of it. So what we had was the rate study assumptions, that was complete. Then we started shortly thereafter, the planning for in essence, for the 27 capital, but that's a 10-year view. So what we did was we looked at where the projects were, what was gonna realistically get completed in 26. Some of those projects, just based on the timing, shifted into 27, but we were still able to meet the 10-year capital that we had just completed as part of the rate study.
And I shouldn't say it's all related to the bond issuance. I mean, it's really, some of it's projects. I know that subaqueous cable project that we have going to Beachside with the water main and wastewater. There's a lot of moving parts in that as well that we're just trying to make sure we drill down before executing and spending that kind of money on that project.
Could we perhaps, maybe in a workshop, look at all the kind of capital projects and what the, let's say, 6-12 months ago, what the timeline was versus what the timeline is, today?
Yep.
And kind of keep that baseline, if you would, from when we, attempted to issue the bond to today, so we can see what kind of changes are
Yeah,
happening.
no,
over
that's
time.
fine. We could definitely compare
How
that.
many total dollars of capital got moved out in '26, roughly?
We can,
I mean, we're still into 26, but we can give you the current, number. I would have to go look at that and get back to you on that.
Yeah, so you moved capital from 26
Yeah, so it's,
to 27, and then 27 to 28, or just?
yeah, so basically last year we did this 10-year CIP plan,
Yeah,
right? So
okay.
some of those projects move. It's not, we can't get it completely accurate each year. So some of those projects might get delayed or something might happen. We might have permits that might be taking longer than expected. That will go out maybe into the next year. In total, we're still exactly where we're at with the rate study. It's just in the years, there's some changes of where those costs
Understood.
were anticipated to hit versus where they're actually hitting.
But that capital is intended to drive higher customer satisfaction levels, and if and when it gets delayed,
Yeah, we can come.
ought to look at that as a missed opportunity, I guess, is the way I would look at
No,
it.
we can definitely, we'll come back, we can definitely come back and with what we're actually moving. Like I said, some of the projects might be because of permit related or something that's causing those projects to move into 27, 28
Right.
compared to now.
But I guess look at it in a way that we've secured the funding. Funding is there. It's ready to create some higher levels of reliability, customer satisfaction, and now we're not executing on that. So let's just get visibility of that in
Okay.
the future.
we will, but just to level set, the large projects that we focused on for the reliability for the long term, those are the same projects. We will show you at the next workshop, it's just normal project planning. For example, the subaqueous, the negotiations with the vendors, instead of starting in '26, it is just shifting slightly into '27, but that significant project is continuing to move forward. So we don't see this as a missed opportunity. It's just natural project planning and execution to ensure that we're getting what we need at the best price that we can. So we'll show you the details at the next workshop.
Commissioner Conrad?
So one of the things I recall from our discussion on the budget last year was we were preparing that budget so early in the year. We started out with a $130 million bond offering and cut it back after the budget was prepared to 80 for the bond offering. So there was a little bit of a change in timing, and there were capital projects that were selected to be completed first. And there was also a timeline that some of the money that was going to be raised through the bonds wasn't going to be used anyway for 4 or 5 years. So at the end of the day, we are pretty much, I hear what Ephraim's saying and what Cody is saying, and I think what's always been heartburn for me is that we have to put this budget together so early. We're halfway into the current budget year. We're not any further along than that, and we already have to say what we're going to do in '28. And it's scary sometimes. So we need to take this time to reflect on those comments about gas, the workshop we had, and we talked about the change in the contract with FP&L and what was happening in the local area, excuse me, or for FP&L customers. I think those are all things that are helping us to solidify what the best timing is. I don't know, Jeff, that I considered a missed opportunity. Because we got the 45 million was a nice rate.
I guess we're all guessing. So
Yeah.
my request is really just to let's look at the baseline of what the projects were intended to do with the funds that we raised and see if they're sliding significantly.
That's
Right.
old.
And
Sounds
every
good.
time they bring something to us to look at, they tell us what the original was. And we can go back and look at the subaqueous, and Julie can correct me if I'm wrong, but
just
the
gonna say that.
subaqueous project has been in the budget at various timelines for 6, 8 years, maybe? 4 years. So we want to get that done. And that's what we're going to do with that 45 million with the pellet and the pellet softening.
And there's a history with the subaqueous cable, going way back, correct? We had some lawsuits out of it and things like that back when with the vendor, is that correct?
That was on the north side.
Okay,
South,
okay.
yes.
Yeah. That was fun. So- Cody?
But
All right.
it's good,
Oh.
Jeff, to bring that all up. It is a concern.
Yeah, I don't know if it is yet or not. We don't know the magnitude that slid out, what those projects were. I'm just asking for some visibility.
And if there's some way, and I think, Cody, this probably happens anyhow, you do tell us what was put in for, what was originally anticipated for capital projects to be in the budget for '27 compared to what this year you think it will be.
Correct. Yep.
So we'll have that history of the one
Right.
year. And I think you can go back 2 or 3 if we want it.
Yeah, and you have the detail of all the projects, so you can compare year to year if you wanted to with that, to
Yeah.
see like how
That's
those
the
costs
idea.
are being
And,
shipped.
you know, I realize when we move a project, we're just moving the depreciation out, not the total expense.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but I mean, you said we pushed those projects out and we stayed flat.
Yeah, that's,
So that's another kind of a flag for me is if we push that expense out, that depreciation out, now it's being consumed by something different. That would have been my next
yeah, I was
question.
more comparing to like the total cost, like that is going through the rates, like that's gonna stay the same.
I understood that part, yeah.
Okay. But we can definitely look at that for you and get back to you, like, it's the big projects that, if any
Yeah,
costs that are pushed out, we can.
Maybe top 15
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yep.
That's probably 90% of the dollars, is it not, in capital?
yeah, yep. Okay, beyond the initial 5-year period, funding is expected to primarily come from the 8% transfer and reserve generated through the rates, which we are currently projecting to be $10 million. So that last 5-year, the CIP plan, we're putting it at $10 million because the rate increases during that time are not certain. So that's what we know, what we can afford. So the last 5 years is gonna be $10 million annually for this FY '27 10-year CIP. Throughout the budget process, senior leadership department managers work together to prioritize operation reliability, regulatory compliance, and system needs while also minimizing impacts to our customer rates. The Silver Sands septic to sewer project remains ongoing. However, the FDEP grant-related costs are not currently included in the financial calculations being presented simply because our customers are not paying for that. It's going to be funded through the grant. So you will not see those. It's the grant portion of that or the Silver Sand septic sewer cost in these numbers. Revenue and expenditure projections were developed using modeled customer consumption trends rather than just applying flat percent increases. On the expense side, the O&M budget considered major cost drivers such as purchase power, maintenance requirements, vendor pricing, regulatory obligations, and overall operational risk. Budget line items were supported with documentation and backup information consistent with prior budget practices. I don't know a single person here that will just throw a number at us. They've already reached out to the vendor, got pricing, and have enough information to support their increase for their number that they're being presented to us during these challenge sessions.
Is there, when you work with all the different departments, is there a set of assumptions you give, like assume X for, inflation, assume contractual salaries for '26 as being X, Y, and Z?
For
Or
this,
does each team do it themselves, or do you set the tone for?
In the challenge sessions, like we'll basically look at last year's and start from 0 to where they stand today. So like the salary, is your question mainly
It's
focused on salaries?
Salaries,
Salaries, we're gonna dig in.
expenses,
Salaries-
salaries you have good visibility
Yeah.
of because of the contractual agreements we have, but
We do have, I mean, some of them are contracts, so like it could be a contract price or something that the cost will increase by a certain percentage year to year. But usually we're working with the vendors to get that information ahead of time. And then also, what Commissioner Smith mentioned with like the fuel surcharges, like we try to get that information
yeah.
in advance too, so we're not gonna be, over than what we anticipated to spend.
So Commissioner Vine, you bring up a very good point. So salaries are controlled by the support services, the Heather's group. There are, of course, no headcount increases unless it's been approved. There needs to be justification. We can go into that in further detail. But from the procurement standpoint, each director works and their team works with procurement. So if there's contracts in place, procurement team supports each group to identify where they think some increases may be to the extent that we are aware of it. But what we, typically, the folks use a price times volume for, particularly in the chemicals area, items such as that. So there's very detailed assumptions that support there. So it's typically, it is a bottoms-up approach, particularly when it comes to that type of item. Each department doesn't control their salaries. The salaries are developed by human resources.
How about like healthcare costs?
Same, Heather,
Centralized?
centralized.
Yeah, thanks.
Next slide, please. So the 10-year capital plan for FY27, FY36 totals $176.9 million and remains consistent with the FY24-25 approved rate study, which served as the basis for the commission-approved rates, charges, and fees effective February 1st, 2026. The funding for this 10-year capital improvement plan includes the combination of a $67 million bond issuance. It's 67 and not 80 because we plan to spend $13 million of it in FY26 with the line of credit on AMI and pellet softening projects alone. $100.3 million will be funded using our unrestricted R&R reserves, and then $9.6 million is going to be funded through capital connection fees, and really those are going to be for wastewater only projects, since we used the majority of the capital connection fees for water on pellet softening. And then aside from this $176 million, you do have the Silver Sand septic to sewer project, which it's $18.9 million that will be funded with the FDEP grant, but we have gotten a reimbursement FY26 for like $300,000, so they budgeted $18.6 million and for the Silver Sands in this capital 10-year plan.
Cody, do you want to focus on the right-hand side, which talks about the bulk of the project?
Yes. So what we're spending this bond money on are right here on the screen here. We have pellet softening, which is $31 million. We have our Silver Sands water main replacement, which we're doing in conjunction of the grant money that's coming out of our own cost dollars. That's $5 million. We have our South Causeway subaqueous, which is $12 million. We have WRF headworks and EQ tank, $6 million. Lift station upgrades at $9 million, and our well rehab, $1 million. Substation improvements at $7 million, and our new SR44 substation at $3 million. And then we are doing AMI meter replacements on water. Like electric, we did it all at one time. Water, as meters go down, water meters go down, we're going to replace it with AMI meters. So we put costs aside to do that as well. So at some point, all meters will be able to be read electronically. But that is what we're using the bond money on. And what we're going to do is make sure we track these projects so we can provide updates on those major projects. That is the purpose of why we got this bond issuance, or hopefully soon to be bond issuance.
If there was an ROI for the electric AMI meters? Why isn't there the same ROI on the water?
The water, the electric meters, based on the work with the consultants, made sense to replace all at once. On the water meters, just based on the level of effort to upgrade each, it takes a little longer. So based on the estimate that we got at the time that we did the AMI project, it was several $1 million to do the water. We decided, for the sake of in essence, conservation of funds, we decided to, as we replace water meters, we will then replace them with AMI meters. Just the level of dollars to replace all the water was significant impact to the capital budget.
But the inflection point there is that one day you eventually don't need meter readers. They can move on to different and better jobs, and
We
so
will.
if you just take this, as I recall, when we did get all the electrical AMI up, it still didn't impact kind of the meter readers that much because they were still doing water.
Correct. What we'll do is you will always have a small group of meter readers from this fact that you will have AMI technical, in essence, higher skilled meter reader, in essence, you'd go back and replace. In addition, several years ago, when we started the project, we committed to our employees that we would identify a location for them somewhere in the organization. So as the need for water meters the need for meter readers goes down, they will then at that point identify other positions that they could transition to.
That's great, but maybe when there is a capital review, we could look at what it takes to accelerate that.
Accelerate the AMI, like a water meter
The
replacement?
water AMI, yeah.
Okay. We'd have to get, yes.
How much
Okay.
cost there is with meter reading. And you'd have to look at both sides of the equation. How quickly could we put meter readers into new jobs? But like the return on getting all this automatic reading done just doesn't seem like it's going to really, we won't be able to fulfill that return on investment until we get both the water and the electric.
So I can get you the numbers, but I know on the water meter replacement, it was several $1 million. There is not several $1 million of capital. We would have to increase the capital that we currently have under assumptions here that isn't covered in the bond study. So we would have to get back to you to see if it would have an impact on rates and other things, and these other major projects that we've already committed to, these are significant. We'd have to do a whole reprioritization to get rid of it. Because right now, to do a full-scale water meter replacement to AMI would be several million that is not currently covered in the 10-year capital.
And that's really the hard part with these projects. You want to do as many projects as you can, but you only get a set of money to pull it from. And it all goes through customer rates. So right now, we're doing the pellet softening, and then we have the subaqueous, and then we listed some additional projects over there. We plan to track these costs for you guys, so we'll be as transparent as we can to where this bond money is going.
Is there a shelf life on these meters, or is there a natural timing out of them, or is it just if something goes wrong, we replace it, or do you have a shelf life?
So on the water, on any of these meters, there's always a shelf life. So as these meters come up for replacement, we just replace them with an AMI meter. Any existing new meter that was recently installed, we put an ERT adjustment on it, so in essence, that provides an automatic read. But we're just, over time, as water meters come up for renewal, we just replace it with an AMI meter, water meter.
And then all of our meters will have a 10-year depreciable life too. So they'll be good for 10 years.
So how many water meters, new AMI water meters have we installed so far? Any?
We have,
900?
900?
And we have 30,000.
no, it's a little
That's
less.
28,000 maybe.
And the new subdivisions are getting the AMI meter, or are they getting?
No, any new development gets the new AMI meter.
Okay.
Senior leadership and project managers reviewed all the FY '27 through FY '36 capital projects and updated project estimates, including FY '26 carry forward amounts to ensure plan reflects current project timing, cost, and operational priorities. So we made sure all the directors signed off on all this stuff before just putting this together. So like I said, we will give you a detailed package where you can go through the projects and compare it to last year or whatever you need to do, and then we can always, meet with you guys more at a workshop or one-on-one to kind of go through the budget in detail.
Okay.
And then I will leave you with Winter to go through revenue.
Thank you, Cody.
Thanks.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
We focused on the capital portion of the budget, and now we're going to transition to the operating portion of the budget. Yes, thank you. This slide provides a high-level overview of the fiscal year '27 proposed revenue budget by utility line, along with our primary assumptions used in developing the budget. Revenue projections were developed using modeled customer consumption, current growth and usage trends, and normal weather patterns. These assumptions were consistent with the rate study. The proposed revenue increases are primarily driven by the approved utility rate adjustments that will be effective October 1st. The proposed revenues are intended to support our operational requirements, our capital investment needs, our debt obligations, and long-term financial sustainability. Next, we'll walk through the major operational factors contributing to the projected revenue requirements. Next slide, Debbie. This slide provides a high-level overview of the three major O&M categories: purchase power, salary and benefits, and other operations and maintenance costs. All of these we will discuss in the next few slides in detail. The fiscal year '27 operation and maintenance projected expenditures are all consistent with the assumptions and the financial models that were in our rate study. We just want to make mention that as of April 2026, the U.S. CPI inflation rate is 3.8%. And when we compare this to our fiscal year '26 amended budget, the proposed '27 O&M budget is in line with current inflation rates. At this point, I'm going to ask.
Sorry, can you go back to the revenue projection?
Sure.
I mean, we had a rate increase of, I think it was 6%, and yet we're showing across the board revenues increasing, call it 11%.
We also used customer growth and usage trends.
How
So
much of that 10% is growth versus real rate increases?
For electric, it's 3%. For water, it's 2%.
Which is which? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
3% is which part?
Electric is the growth.
3% of the 10%?
Yes.
So 7% rate change?
Correct.
The Smyrna growth plan is 3% for next year?
We anticipated an additional 400 customers for water. I don't remember off the top of my head what electric was, but I can look at that and get back with you.
Yeah, could we look at those assumptions? Because I've heard the mayor talk about growth rates of roughly 2%, not 3.
Yes.
Well, there's a mix of, you've got existing natural on the electric and the water, as you have 1% to 2% a year in pure customer growth, but you also have existing load growth of all those customers. So that's why it's not a 1-to-1 of just pure in residents, new residents, 1% to 2%. But then all customers that we have, it's additional load as well on all customers.
Yeah, I'm not sure I follow that, but
So year over year, we budget more load, more electric usage from all customers. The customer growth that we consistently see, just new customers, is between 1% and 2%. But you have new electric load for everybody. So people continue to use more and more electricity, particularly as the weather
Specifically for electric, our customer growth is gonna be, we have estimated 2%, but then an additional usage growth of 3% for our usage.
And that's from trends that you measure or see?
Yes, and they're
yeah,
consistent with what's in our rate study as well.
But what has been the last 2 or 3 years of each customer you're saying is consuming more electrical? What has been, you're saying that number is like 1 to 2% more every year of just pure usage?
What we'll do
Not
is
the rate, but-
yes, but there's a combo, and it is an estimate. There's a combo between additional load plus the customer growth. But
Yes.
as part of the workshop, we'll get you a further breakdown.
That'd be great, on all this revenue increase. That just seems like a large number versus the rate plan increase.
No, understood, we'll get you.
Okay. Next slide, Debbie. I'm gonna ask Cody to speak on purchase power for you.
All right, Commissioners, so there's no changes into what was discussed at the last workshop meeting last week when Randy did his presentation. I just want to come back up just to reinstate the plan. Basically, what we're doing is we have an approved credit of $3.78 that we plan to give back to our customers in FY27 to meet that $5 million target, but that will be reevaluated at the end of the fiscal year to see where we stand with the purchase power reserve. We will also continue to look at ways to soften the impact to our customers for the 2034 calendar year as we negotiate the new purchase power contracts. FPL Solar will be budgeted into this budget for FY27. That is on one of the agenda items today. But any savings with purchase power flows directly back to our customer. So it'll be into that reserve, and then at year end, we'll evaluate the credit, and then we might go up if we need to get down to that $5 million target. But we don't know what we don't know, so we have to wait till the end of the year to see where we stand at that purchase power reserve. But today, it's looking like it's going back up, so we're in a solid situation with purchase power.
Okay. Thank you.
Next slide, please. As we move into salary and benefits, this slide outlines key highlights from the IBEW collective bargaining agreement, along with the major assumptions incorporated into the fiscal year 27 budget development process. The proposed budget supports 182 employee positions and 5 commissioner positions, for a total of 187 positions. As part of the budget review process, all previously frozen positions were evaluated and reclassified where appropriate to better support our operational needs. Yes, ma'am.
What positions how many positions were frozen prior to this?
I'd ask Heather to come up, thank you.
Good morning, Heather Carazales, Support Services Senior Manager. The number fluctuates when we have a vacancy that's created through attrition. We will wait on it to determine what the business needs are. So at any given time, it ranged from, we currently have 2 that we're not actively recruiting for, to as many as 6 in the past 2 to 3 years.
So you give us a report every month about the open positions.
Those are included.
And do you indicate, I've not heard the term frozen for a long time.
We don't officially freeze them. We're just not actively recruiting for them. And I'll give you an example.
That makes me feel better. The term was bothering me.
Correct. It's just we're not actively recruiting for them while we evaluate the business need. A recent example is that we had a billing analyst vacancy in our customer service department. With the new addition of AMI, we knew we were not going to need a 3rd billing analyst. We then take a holistic look at the organization and go, where do we have a need? We actually had a need in our electric operations department in substation and relay, and we added a current and transformer meter position there. So we moved the billing analyst to electric operations. But it took us a good 6 months to evaluate that and analyze it, look at reporting data to determine where the greatest need was. So it's not frozen necessarily, it's just we're not actively recruiting for it while we evaluate the need.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other mechanism that has you reassess where the business needs are other than attrition? Like in your example, you know, AMI reduced the amount of billing analysis. Shouldn't that come naturally versus waiting for attrition to occur?
If we were to do that, then that would mean displacement of a current employee if they didn't have the skill set needed for whatever a business need was. We do look ahead, for example, in the 10-year capital improvement projections, what are we gonna need staffing-wise? So we do start looking at that from a prospective aspect, but we don't actively move or displace employees that don't meet the qualifications for those future business needs.
Even if the role has shrunk in size?
Just from an operational standpoint, each of our directors, we fully leverage all of our employees. There is no extra or unnecessary positions or working. We're constantly reviewing the effectiveness of the operations, the number of employees required to produce for that operation. If there is a need, if there is an opportunity that we see, we have that discussion, and if we will make the hard decision to eliminate if necessary. But that is constantly reviewed with the directors as well as with Heather.
And we do continue to rebalance workload. So when we see functions that are automated per se from an employee's role, we look at other duties that maybe a different employee might be inundated with, and can we reallocate those duties elsewhere? We also proactively and fully pay for training and education up front to upskill our employees to take on additional duties rather than displace them.
Yeah, my point was, and I fully support that, the retraining and repositioning, but the way you described it was that attrition triggers that analysis. And I got a different answer from you.
Yeah, because
We can take that offline, but I hope that attrition is
It is
really
not,
never the
it is
the
not.
trigger to
It
do
is
the
not.
analysis.
and you'll see
It
it
is
in the
not.
budget count for FY27. We've added a new position because there was a business need through analysts. Again, it's in the electric operations department. We take a proactive look at what are additional business needs and can we repurpose somebody, but if not, do we need to add to head
Yeah.
count? So you will see in the FY27 budget, we have added one FTE to the head count because of that.
And what is the current head count against the 182?
What our actuals.
Right, we are down 9, we have 9 current vacancies. 2 of them we are not actively recruiting for, but they are not frozen.
That's a little higher than it's been
I think
a
it's about
few
the
months
same.
ago, I think.
No, that's about what we run. Now, we
It's
do have
constantly
one
9.
overfill, and so our total head count, we're under 8, but one of those positions is an overfill in our system operations division. So actually, if you look back, we had been trending around 11 and 12 vacancies. We're down to 9.
And 2 of those are not actively, so it's really 7.
Correct.
Commissioner, I think probably instead of saying frozen, the vacant positions are cold.
There you go.
That's a good way to put it.
Any other questions?
That answered my question.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Heather.
I'm going to continue with this slide. The salary assumptions that were developed this year are consistent with the bargaining agreement as well. The budget also includes assumption for operationally necessary overtime, PLT payouts, and standby pay. In addition to wages, this budget reflects projected increases in workers' compensation, group medical insurance, and payroll-related taxes. Next, we'll look at the overall salary and benefits budget summary and staffing allocation by division. The proposed salary and benefits budget reflects an increase of approximately $879,000, or 3.5% over the fiscal year 26 amended budget. Given the highly skilled and around-the-clock nature of the utility operations, maintaining a competitive and sustainable compensation structure remains important for our recruitment, our retention, and operational reliability. Even with the addition of one full-time position and increased benefits-related costs, The overall salary and benefits increase remains below current inflation levels. Next slide, please. Other operation and maintenance costs include maintenance costs such as maintenance of overhead and underground electric lines, maintenance of meters, software, chemicals, sludge disposal, legal and audit services, community relations, consultants, fuel, training, and liability insurance, and those are just a few of them. We conducted detailed reviews with each division of their operational needs, treatment processes, preventative and corrective maintenance programs, regulatory and compliance requirements, historical spending trends, and then compared them with the rate study assumptions. Despite ongoing operational and infrastructure support needs, other and O&M costs only increased by 3.4% over the fiscal year amended 26 budget. One item I'd like to specifically highlight is what Cody was talking about earlier in the presentation, our water reclamation facility screw press project. It's expected to be completed this fiscal year, and it's a good example of how capital investments can create long-term operational savings. This current fiscal year 27 proposed budget estimates $320,000 in reduction of sludge disposal costs. And once we have this operating for a full year, we'll have a better refined estimate or a better refined number of our total true savings from this capital project. Next slide. The next section of the presentation focuses on our debt service and financing strategy that supports our capital improvement program. Fiscal year 27 debt service is projected at approximately $9 million, with roughly $4.1 million related to the existing 2020 bonds and approximately $4.9 million associated with the anticipated 2026 bond issuance. To support our ongoing capital improvement projects prior to the permanent bond issuance, NSBU is currently utilizing an existing line of credit as short-term financing tools. The line of credit provides us operational flexibility and currently carries a lower variable interest rate tied to SOFR. This is presently ranging between 3.2 and 3.3%. The all-in true interest cost assumed for the 2026 series bonds in the rate study is approximately 4.71%. Utilizing this line of credit in the interim allows NSBU to continue critical capital projects while maintaining flexibility to enter the bond market when interest rates are more favorable and better aligned with our rate study.
I probably missed this, but I saw that we took the line of credit at 45 million.
Yes.
What drove the size of that line of credit? I thought it was going to be, we could take it out in increments at any time. Why go so large on the
So
first one?
there is a penalty. I don't know if it's a penalty. It's for not leveraging 75% of the line of credit. There was an additional, I don't remember what the charge is, but that's why we took 45. We didn't want to incur a charge because we did not pull the 75% out. That
What's
is
the
what
size of the penalty?
I'd have to get
Or
back to you.
incentive?
We'll get back to you.
Thank you.
With the major budget components now reviewed, I'd like to talk to you about the next steps in the budget process. As highlighted in the timeline, we're currently at the May 26 milestone where the 27 budget is considered balanced and substantially complete. The completed fiscal year 27 detailed budget will be provided to the commission prior to the next regular commission meeting in June. At that meeting, the commission will be asked to vote on approval of the fiscal year 27 budget submission, which includes both the O&M budget and the 10-year capital improvement plan. Following commission approval, the budget will be formally submitted to the city of New Smyrna Beach. The city will have 2 readings of the ordinance approving NSBU's budget. Historically, those readings take place in September, and then the fiscal year 27 budget would be complete.
I think the lesson learned from last year was to build in like a contingency milestone here. I don't quite see that.
Well, since this budget, when you say contingency milestone, that was for the
Like if on
rates.
June 11th, it doesn't get approved by this board, what's the contingency?
Well, that's why we are having this update now. We didn't plan an additional contingency beyond this. Our timeline, as we had indicated, was to provide you an update in May, indicating that our target was to meet the assumptions of the rate study, to ensure that operationally and financially, we were there. From our standpoint, this budget meets that, even in a challenging operational environment. That's why we're presenting the update in May, provide you additional detail. If we weren't making making the original assumptions, then yes, of course, we'd have a problem, but that wasn't our plan. So this is building in that timeline of having this update with you at this point in time.
Did the original assumption have the 10% growth in revenues for 27?
Yes. It would have, because it has the rate, you've got the impact of the rate increases plus the impact of the growth. But that does not change the rates, charges, and fees that are to our customers. We're operating within the assumptions. It's that 10% growth in revenue is driven by the rate increase that was approved and effective February 1st.
6%,
yes.
right, which is the major form of revenues, but yet
Correct, but
we
it,
have other fees and growth that is
but
taking that to 10%.
But that's revenue. That revenue is driven by what we charge the customer and what they use. So,
I understand.
okay,
We
so,
went through it.
but that 10% is completely in line with the rate study.
Yes.
Good. Any other questions? No, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It was nice meeting you, Winter.
Yep, good. Okay.
Ooh.
General Counsel's report?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have 3 bills that I was going to discuss with you this morning. The first one is House Bill 1451. That was the reporting requirements. That bill still has not been presented to the governor, but that's going to have, if and when it is, well, it will be presented, but if and when it is signed, it will have the most effect on NSBU. And that is the reporting requirements. And what this bill says is that each municipal utility that provides services outside of the city, and in this instance, we have service in unincorporated areas of Volusia County, they must conduct an annual meeting in conjunction with the governing body having jurisdiction over those outside of the city customers to solicit input on utility-related matters, including fees and charges and services. It also is going to require each municipality that sells these types of services outside of their municipal boundaries to provide an annual report to the Public Service Commission. So that's the one we're still looking at to see what's going to happen with that, with the governor. There's also House Bill 1217.
Can I ask you a question on
Sure.
that? What is the intent of 251? I'm missing something. We got by without it for forever, and now we have to do this. I don't understand.
I'll pull the legislative analysis and see if they have any reasoning in it. I mean, they have, one of the other ones I'm going to talk to you about, I understand the intent for the data centers, but I don't really know.
Okay, thank you.
Roughly 30,000, how many are outside of New Smyrna?
We could, we'll get back to you. I'm not certain how many, but
Hardly anything.
it's got to be a few thousand, because there's pockets of unincorporated Volusia County throughout the service territory. But we did, so to General Counsel Heather's point, we did get an update from FMEA as well on this bill. So there are ways that we can meet this requirement. Yes, it would be over and above what we currently do, but it's not impossible to do. More of just more resources putting together information, so.
The next one is House Bill 1217, which has been signed and is in law now. That's the net zero greenhouse gases bill, where that's a governmental entity may not enact or enforce or require any person or legal entity to enact or enforce a resolution, ordinance, code, rule, or policy to support a net zero policy. And a net zero policy aims at achieving a balance between greenhouse gases emitted from human activity and the amount of carbon dioxide removed from the atmosphere. So there's that one. And then the last one is Senate Bill 484, which is the data center requirements. And right there, I understand that the legislature found that large load customers have substantial electric and other utility demands, including data centers, presenting unique planning, infrastructure, and compatibility considerations for local planning. The express intent of the legislature for this bill with respect to these large load customers is that a local government address these circumstances by adopting local requirements consistent with the other provisions in Chapter 163 of the Florida Statutes. Chapter 163 of the Florida Statutes deals with planning, land development, and community redevelopment. And we're going to prepare a memo for Efren and his staff to address what needs to be addressed, and hopefully there will be some kind of resolution or action on the 1451 by that point.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Commissioners? No?
I'm good, thank you.
You're good? Thanks. All right. Let's move on to old business, and we will need an approval for the decision regarding non-renewal of FP&L solar energy transaction. I think we're buying a couple million from them, is that?
I want to say it was several $100,000 of a savings. But we can discuss it again, but we did discuss it at length.
We discussed it at the workshop,
So
and that's
we're just
pretty
asking for formal approval to not renew the contract if that's, unless there's any other questions.
And that was your recommendation?
Yes.
And staff's recommendation not to renew it?
Correct.
And it won't have any adverse effect on our relationship with FP&L?
No, it will not. We've discussed this for a while with them.
Right. Actually, they can get more money for it elsewhere, is that?
Correct.
Understanding? So,
I make a motion, we approve.
second. Ms. Simmons?
Commissioner Conrad,
Yes.
Commissioner Devine,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
Okay, let's go on to new business. Want to get approval for proposed final RFP for Phase 1 of public parcel delivery and private parcel entitlement services for Western Utilities Complex. Any discussion on that before we look for approval? I think we discussed it a lot, but.
I have just one comment.
Okay.
I was at the joint meeting where Commissioner Hartman at the time said he basically said, do what you need to do, it's fine with us.
Correct.
Well, he's no longer on board, and there was no general consensus of the entire commission when I was there, but that what Commissioner Hartman said. And he's been replaced by Commissioner Ashley, who represents Phoenician Bay, correct?
Yes.
I really believe that we should run this by the commission before we issue it, to let as a courtesy and to keep them in mind that, and confirm that they say, hey, it's fine, go ahead and move forward. But it's, their job is to oversee us. We're to oversee the commission, and I think it would be a good idea to do that. So that's my only comment.
Okay, I think it's a good comment, a good observation. My understanding is, Efren, that this has been discussed with the city in generality.
In generality.
Right.
And this really would be an RFP. We'll have a further discussion at the joint workshop, but this would be an RFP to identify, and then that'd be another checkpoint based on the respondents and the summary comparison that we had discussed previously. But I don't know, Commissioner Devine, did you want to add?
Well, I agree with the idea that we should be bringing them up to speed, especially because that meeting in July, I think it's an hour and a half. And I think getting the city commissioners up to speed on the intent and at some greater level of detail, I think is important. And I was gonna offer to commissioners, if they wanted to, see what we've done here publicly, go through that, give an explanation to the intent of the 4 phases and what's in phase 1 and 2, to help get them up to speed. But as it relates to going forward with the RFP, I think we've had a thorough discussion of that. I don't know that the city commission would have any content on how that should be raised differently.
Ray, I will agree with you with that, and I do think that, and I said it before, especially with Commissioner Ashley out there, once we put this together and get some ideas and stuff, there's gonna be an opportunity for people to voice their opinions, and as you know, whether it's good growth or bad growth,
Yeah,
there are
absolutely.
anti-growth movement out there that,
Yeah.
we're gonna have, and I think as a commission, we have an opportunity to create something unique that can be environmentally helpful. Also, to Chairman Davenport's statement, we may be able to help with some, flood water with retention ponds and things
Yeah.
like that in the thing. So, my thing would be to move forward, but I think it's a good point, because they're gonna deal with the after effects of it in the end, but
Yeah.
I think pressing forward with it, I don't wanna let it sit any more than it's already sat. Commissioner?
I was going to say, I have a suggestion too. I can send it after this meeting to my counterpart over at the city, to Carrie, the city attorney, and just say, FYI, this is, of course, if this is what the commission would like me to do, this is going to be sent out on, I think it's June 1st, or put out, and then Ephraim can also send it to
That would-
his folks over there at the city as well.
That would be
Correct.
great, and get the commission all copied on it, and maybe an email update or something, just so that we have that. But I do agree with it, so. Want to get an approval for,
I approve the
make a motion?
final RFP distribution.
A second?
Ms. Simmons?
Commissioner Conrad,
Yes.
Commissioner Devine,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
Okay. Other business. Anybody have any comments? Commissioner Devine?
We had a pretty thorough discussion of the Western Complex last week, so no new updates. I think an important one we did talk about, and emphasizing your points, Commissioner Kelly, is getting a communication, a comms team together
that's
around this is going to be critically important for the long term.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and even the vision for Canal Street.
Yeah.
And what it can do for the community and our tax bases here and the whole 9 yards, so, thank you. Yeah. Commissioner Smith?
Oh, no comment.
Stop. Commissioner Conrad? Thanks. Ephraim and the team, thank you. I do the budget item where we had the 10% increase, and the 3% was based off of load usage and all that. That's a good thing to break down, I think, and see.
We will.
Because that's, if it's not growing, how do you grow that individually?
Yeah.
It's a sticking point with math with me a little bit there too. So I know you guys do the math, so I'm not
Oh, no,
questioning the math, but
yeah.
it's math, not magic, right?
Exactly,
It is what-
because the detailed assumptions that the consultants, Raf Tellis, on the water wastewater reclaimed, as well as the electric rate consultant, Randy, who also performed the purchase power analysis, this is all it's based on, and it's reviewed every year as we look at the historical trends. So there is nothing unusual from our standpoint in this. It's just reflecting, it is 10%, majority because of the rate increase we just put in. 2027 will have the full year impact of that, which I believe So that is the full year impact of that rate increase
Well, that's a good
in
explanation
27.
that we didn't hear before. That's,
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so,
Yeah, but getting that broken down, that 10%,
Yeah.
where are the components from?
no, that's fine. We will do that.
Yeah, I think that's good, and, you know, that's, I think, in everybody's mind, it is good, and presentation was great, team, you know, it's just, we
Really
just
good.
want to know, we want to be transparent, we always want to have it up front, and I know you guys are hard at work at it, so, but it's just good for us to know, and the transparency is even better, and I feel like we've made great strides and improvement for that, so. Any other comments?
If we do have further questions on the budget, Ephraim, what would you like to see from us? Would you rather have one-on-ones, open questions to you and you respond to all, or
Yeah, you can.
save it for the workshop? What do you prefer?
I think it would probably be good to have, if there's any specific questions beforehand, you can, I mean, we took notes as of today. I think the workshop will be a really good venue for that, and let's have that. I think, you know, our strong recommendation is we'll address all the questions, but from a procedural standpoint, it's these assumptions and the work done, we've done exactly what we said we were going to do, which was that top down and that bottoms up to ensure that we're in alignment with the rate study, but at the same time ensuring and reconfirming that the business is operating with what it needs, and of course, not more. That's the key, because we're always looking at how can we do it more cost effectively. I guess in summary, just send us questions, but the workshop will cover a number of items.
And last comment, I do think the safety messages that you guys bring to us every day is really good. Johnny, good presentation. It's stuff that we don't get to see day to day, and it's good that the team is on that and monitoring it and has meetings about it and everything else. It's good for for the company, so with nothing else.
Yeah, just one thing, I couldn't let you go
Okay,
without
now
something.
I feel better.
No, if we repurpose this building, I suggest we turn this into a butcher shop, because you can hang meat in here. I'm about to freeze to death.
With that, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Julie's sitting there wrapped up.
Miss Lillian's over here bundled. But it's,
We adjourned?
meeting adjourned. Yes, sir, sorry. Yeah.